How did your school bully turn out? Bully #1 now plays in the local soccer team and tells me hi whenever he sees me. Bully #2 is dead. I'm the supervisor of a shop he constantly steals from. The police have him now however, so I won't see him for a few months, but he'll be back. It's quite a sad situation. Well, I got a little different outcome, but mine turned out to be one of my best friends. Made my life hell in 8th and 9th grade. Turns out we had a lot in common and became friends. Same here. She tormented me constantly from ages 5 to 10, then I moved away and she ended up at the same boarding school as me when we were 16. I was nervous when she first started, but we quickly became great friends and was my bridesmaid 3 years ago. Still best friends today. He's dead. His Facebook profile is still up and people still post on his birthday, but yeah, he died in his early 30s. I have no idea how. Kept calling me gay. He turned out gay himself later on. Went on to get a PhD in the States. I'm from Europe. Made a small breakthrough in research of a disease and published a book about it. When I found out, I was envious for a second, but I quickly realized it's really for the better. Teenage asshole or not, he helped humanity. If all bullies would turn out like that, the world would be a better place. A few years back I decided for sheets and giggles to enter the names of old classmates into my county's jail records database. Not only did I find out that the last guy I would have expected was arrested for sexual assault of a minor, my school bully had evidently fallen afoul of a 3 strikes drug law and had gone to prison for a lengthy sentence. Long story short, he got graved. My school bully transferred to multiple schools in the region due to him being a massive douche. It was only a few years ago where I heard the guy got raped in some barn by some mentally ill guy. Everyone that knew this kid hated him, but I wouldn't have wished this on him. I had a neighborhood bully who one day took a drill to my chest to mess with me. It accidentally grabbed my shirt and scratched me up a bit. In college I told my freshman roommate this story and his response was, "Duck, that guy, let's go kill him." Figuratively speaking. I told him there was no need. He died in 911 2 months prior. All doing well because they're all from rich families. They bullied others in school because they learned from their parents early on that others are beneath them. He opened a hairdressing salon with the guy he eventually married. An interesting outcome, since he especially bullied the gay kids in school. That reminds me of that kid in Family Guy who was like, "Let's bully the nerds and make them show us their penises. They would be so gay of them." I always think of those kids in South Park that are always saying things like, "Heh heh, that's gay." Once in a while, they'd slip in a quick "we are gay." One of mine dropped off my radar for a few years until I was flipping through local news channels and saw his ugly face. He carried an unregistered handgun and pipe bomb to his workplace. Threatened the secretary that if she wouldn't marry him on the spot, he will shoot her and himself while blowing up the building. The cops shot him twice but he lived. He was strung out on bathtub meth and crack cocaine. Had every type of drug paraphernalia under the sun as well as 2 liters of vodka in his car. I think he got life in prison down to 20 years with a plea bargain. Almost felt bad for him, but then I remembered he threw rocks at me while I was 40 feet up in a tree, which I almost fell out of. Ran into him like half a year ago in the local pub, had some beers with him, and played some darts, because the guy I was with knew him, and the guy he was with. Despite the fact that he made my life a living hell for 3 years, I didn't hold a grudge and he seemed fairly nice. It's almost like people can indeed grow up. Hey, good on you. People here are unbelievably vengeful. I'm glad somebody here is willing to give them a second chance. Yeah, I find it sad that so many people here would hold grudges for many years and never stop to think that maybe this person, like many, was just a little sheet when they were a kid and now they are a completely different person. He had to have his jaw reconstructed and can't talk right now because someone ducking decked him so hard that he ended up in a serious situation. I saw him at work once. He was so shy towards me. The girl that impersonated me online to make me look like a psycho is now bitching about people on welfare while being unable to hold down a job of picking out groceries for old people on welfare to send to them. She's still ugly. Mine turned into a loan shark and his family disowned him. He turned his life around and actually became a really nice guy. He cut someone off in the street and they both got out their cars to have a talk, but the other guy decked him so hard he never woke up. His family turned the life support off. There are a lot of bullies who big fish in small ponds. There are a lot of big fish, and there's always a bigger fish. Sounds like he's okay. He actually went to prison for bullying me in our sophomore or junior year. He used a threat of deadly force, and the school had been itching for an excuse to expel him. Apparently he had also been making noises about having a gun to others as well. So the school came down hard and called the cops. A few years later I got a letter sent from prison, apologizing for what he did and how he treated me. At the time I was very cynical, thinking it was something he'd been ordered to do. But now I prefer to believe it was genuine. A buddy of mine from high school who I still talk to said he ran into him, and he seemed pretty happy. Anyway, I know enough to know that he's not back in prison. Genuinely hope he's doing well. No one should have to suffer for a lifetime for mistakes they made in their youth. Well, my elementary school bully has a great story. He terrorized all of us third graders. He showed up uninvited to my friend's birthday party and my friend cried. He was such a dick. He was cocky and the best at everything. By middle school, we both were on the soccer team, and our coach took none of his crap. The bully was our leading scorer in 6th grade, the youngest grade, and he let us all know it. In the latter part of the year though, my mother got sick, and the bully's mother let me stay with them, which I didn't really want to do. During that time, we became friends and now, in high school, he's mellowed out a ton. Like, he's one of the most popular guys, but that's only because he's such a cool, upstanding guy. Currently we are co-captains of our soccer team and have a fantastic record. No one can say a bad word about him now, and I think that's really cool. In high school, this girl punched me in the face because I walked past her, didn't even touch her, while she was hanging out at the staircase. She's a cop now. He's my older brother. He's doing okay, dropped out of HS, took up a trade, works for our uncle. He used to torment me cause I was a fatus, super shy with girls, a big time nerd, etc. He teased he to the point even his friends were telling him to stop. At 17 I dropped to 130 pounds, joined the Marines and disappeared. A few years into my enlistment I visited home for some holiday. He started the same using the old insults, so I hit him. A really good one, knocked him on his ass. My parents got super pissed at me, but it was worth it. The bully who beat me senseless for being a queer? Yeah, he is gay now. Married to a nice man. Adopted a few kids, and has a nice steady job. Bullied me about not being able to complete Marine Corps boot camp. I completed boot camp as most improved in the platoon. A couple years later he goes to Marine Corps boot camp, and didn't make it 2 weeks. I sent him a picture of me in my dress blues. I have no regret, since he told me, I hope you get shot in the face, so your family will not be able to see your face one last time at your funeral. Apostrophe. My school bully invited me to his wedding a couple years ago, and it was a good time. He's actually a really nice guy now, but does lack a formal education. I'm convinced his horrible actions when he was a kid were more of a coping mechanism for the horrible things he endured in his household. Anyway, bullies suck. This is before the internet and cyberbullying, so I can only imagine what kids go through these days. He died. I was the only black kid at my primary school, and this older boy called Daniel loved reminding of that fact in not such pleasant terms. I looked him up earlier this month and found out through a website for a BMX club based in our hometown that he passed away a few years ago. I don't know how he died, but it's sad all the same. His brother is on the run for armed robbery. His sister was just convicted for another armed robbery. He himself served time for assaulting one of my neighbors. I just looked at his Facebook, and he just looks like a typical chav and has no job. The whole family turned out exactly how I expected they would. She's about to graduate university, studying nursing. We all do stupid stuff as kids, so I'm glad that she became a better person. Had a girl who bullied everyone at the school. Her parents were loaded. Sometime after high school something happened to that money. Now she lives in a tiny apartment and attempts to stay relevant by pretending to be a fashion designer with thrift shop clothes. It's like a more satisfying version of Grey Gardens. This girl cyberbullied me for 4 years of high school, made multiple Facebook accounts, caused me to have to get multiple new phone numbers because she kept discovering my new number, recorded videos of herself and others listing reasons why I should kill myself, etc. She now doesn't have an education as I'm doing my thesis on cyberbullying and applying to PhD programs. The irony. Kid kept making fun of mentally challenged kids, ended up smashing into a tree while snowboarding, and ended up getting severe brain damage. Now he's in a special ed program in the school. The irony. I worked as a correctional officer for a year. As I was doing head count one morning I noticed a familiar name. And there he was in his cell. The only guy to ever punch me out for no reason. He was eventually promoted to being a trustee, so that just meant he mopped up all the puke, poop, and piss from disorderly and insane inmates when I told him to, although sometimes I would sneak him an extra snack cake for working hard. Life is sometimes sweet. Dead. Maybe he shouldn't have been doing drugs while driving. Just maybe. If they're female they're all on the doll and pregnant. If they're male then they're all drug addicts. Woo. Last time I checked he works a decent job at construction and inherited a house from his parents, but he has a newborn son he never sees and the wife, ex-wife now, was unfaithful which kind of ducked him up. So not too bad, not too good. Same as myself, now that I think about it. They're all pretty successful, and why shouldn't they be? They've matured into reasonable considerate PR. Oh, and they came from wealthy families. Wealth helps. My middle school bully got his GF pregnant sophomore year and dropped out. For a guy who used to push disabled kids down stairwells, he's an adoring father. He came into the restaurant I work at a few weeks ago with her for self-proclaimed daddy-daughter day. He didn't notice me, and you could just tell she's the apple of his eye. I know the mother left after she had the kid. The girl was well-mannered, well-dressed, and didn't fuss at all. That's a lot for an 18-year-old guy to accomplish in his child. I was impressed. People change. I went to all-girls school, so most bullies were of the mean girls variety. They all seemed to move out to California and sleep around even into our 30s. The most notable was the year above me, who had a stint as a contestant on The Bachelor. She got abruptly thrown off a few episodes in, because apparently she was sleeping with a married producer. Bullying is interesting. When you go to a private school and your class is filled with mostly smart kids. I was the weird, awkward, loud, overweight, and the class clown type of kid. I was also very smart and captain of our quiz bowl team. My bullies were intelligent, conventionally pretty, and popular sports girls. They bullied you in a way that was never going to get noticed or get them in trouble. They bullied you by making you feel subtly lesser. Very much in the vein of Mean Girls. What happened to them? Nothing. They got fantastic scholarships to schools and have amazing careers being in business, doctors, PAs, lawyers. They have incredibly functional and supportive spouses, significant others, and children and pets they post about all the time on social media. They go take ridiculous spur of the moment vacations across the country or to Ducking Iceland or Europe. They always have nice new cars or they are 25 and able to buy houses. And even though I'm as accomplished as these people academically and career-wise, running into them or going to high school reunions is supremely uncomfortable because they treated me for years with low-level disdain because I was lesser than them and they still view me that way. This is how real life works. They all have different lives with varying degrees of success. I was bullied by pretty much everyone, and being from a small town meant that there was no real escape from it. I don't wish any of them ill will. The best of them were immature children, and the worst of them had difficult lives. It's unfortunate that they picked on me, and I still carry it with me somewhat, but I have learned to forgive them and walk away. He's one of those cops who beats the shit out of people for no good reason. This gets me very irritated because I work with psych patients who can become very violent and we are taught ways to restrain them safely. I know cops get very similar training. However, he's only been a cop for 3 years, but people have complained all over about him being very rough for no reason. One of my friends got kicked in the head and stomach by him, and it was captured on video. It makes me wonder what happened to him to need that power so damn bad. The girl that abused me in high school went on to go to a good college and have a promising career in the field of her dreams. Since I was survivor #3, I'm guessing she kept hurting people after me, but I wouldn't know. Meanwhile, I flunked out of college, have no career prospects to speak of, no car, and no apartment. But at least I'm with a nicer girl now, and all the meds and trauma counseling have started to help. I have been bullied most of my school years, like 9 of the needed years of school, but when I started in college, it got worse. The bullying got almost life-threatening, until I got so angry that I kinda saw red. My friends told me that the bully, that's now is one of my best friends, started throwing stones when I sat in the halls of the school waiting for my next lesson. I ran up to him, punched him in the gut, and the kinda threw him on the floor and held him there, and then I broke his arm. I got called into the principal's office 30 minutes later with that guy's parents, and they asked why I did it. I explained what happened. 2 weeks later after that happened, he got up to me in school and told me he was really sorry and he wanted to start over like friends. I said that if he ever tried anything like that again, it's gonna get ugly. That's my story of what happened. He does work in the local games top now, and I'm unemployed. Most are moderately successful, though I did go to a rich school where even the bad kids went to 4-year colleges. One is at Harvard Law. Dumb bullies go to jail. Smart bullies become your boss. And you know what? I wish Ethan well. Barring constant sociopathic level physical violence, people who are still mad about high school bullies over the age of 20 need to grow up. He would always make fun of the fact that I had cerebral palsy, albeit a very mild case, and it really ducked with me when I was younger. When we were like 13, I had one of the more popular kids who I was close with have him over for some sort of birthday sleepover. The host and one other kid held his arms while I beat his ass. He left me alone after that. Haven't heard from or seen him since.